Right, so Assalamu alaikum. We are very excited to have everybody here today. I will start sharing my screen and I'll ask Shazeen if you don't mind help making sure um, letting people in while I can't see what's going on.
Will do.
Allah. And hopefully everybody can see what I can see. Okay, great. So we're here with the American Muslim Community Foundation. Beyond the one-time gift, smart tools for strategic philanthropy in partnership with the National Plan Giving Council. Oh, 1 second. There we go. We are honored to have our ASL interpreter, Mona Jamal, with her services provided by Mohsen. So we're blessed to have that today. Today's agenda is a welcome. Just reminders that we do have ASL interpretation. So to myself and everybody, just make sure we're speaking clearly and we're watching Muna's hands so that we don't overextend her hands. Speaker intro, upcoming events, and then the presentation by Brother Muhi. A little bit about AMCF, our vision, leading sustainable and strategic Muslim philanthropy for today and future generations. Our mission, cultivating donor giving and diversifying funding to advance charitable causes. Our core values are strategic, sacred, sustainable, collaborative, diverse, inclusive, and with integrity. We were founded in 2016. We are the only U.S. organization dedicated to American Muslim philanthropy. We have distributed around $26 million to 1,000 nonprofits during this time period. Just this Ramadan in 2025, over $2 million was distributed, alhamdulillah. Currently manage approximately $9 million in assets, including 244 donor advised funds, 27 endowments, and that number is growing daily, alhamdulillah. So our impact with DAFs, with endowments, with funding, and with assets. Our core programs are for donors and nonprofits, with donor advised funds, giving circles, endowments, and leadership development. We also are leadership in action. We serve and host national committees serving the community, the National Muslim Plan Giving Council, an investment committee, the National Muslim Endowment Council, and the Association Fundraising Professionals Muslim Affinity Group, which we moderate. We also host a nonprofit resource center, which was curated by our talented colleagues on the team. We invite you to look into that. There's a link if you want to reach out and learn more. There's the email, nonprofitengage@amuslimcf.org. Really a great wealth of information. And the Muslim Women's Giving Circle. Our purpose is to harness the power of American Muslim women through collective giving, combine and democratize our giving, amplify women-focused nonprofits, support Muslim women in leadership, and provide seamless donations to organizations chosen by our members. How it works? Well, you join as a member with just a donation of $5 or more, become a voting member with a donation of $35 a month. You nominate. Members are eligible to nominate a nonprofit with a preference for nonprofits serving or led by American Muslim women. And then you vote. Voting members determine the finalists and the top 3 organizations that will be funded each cycle. So it's very democracy in action, one person, one vote. What do we do? Well, the past 3 cycles, we have collectively raised and distributed $55,500 to 9 nonprofits, 3 cycles. Currently, we have 35 active members, and our 2026 cycle just opened 1 month ago. Last cycle, 2025, we had 18 amazing nominees, 14 of which earned their gold or silver gold or platinum candid seal of transparency. We had 5 finalists and 3 grantees. Our 3 grantees, one of them which is on our call today, so the Minnesota Deaf Muslim community, receiving about $7,500 to start an endowment, 200 Muslim women who care, receiving about $4,500 towards their current endowment with AMCF, and then Care Collective, which will be receiving about $3,000. We also do education networking with monthly free webinars, in-person events, primarily in Southern California, where I reside. We do networking, mentorship, WhatsApp community, and resources with a weekly curated newsletter. Some of our upcoming programs with AMCF next week, in partnership with Association Fundraising Professionals, AFP, we'll be hosting a Muslim affinity group Muhi will again be joining us to give us tips on Ramadan fundraising, but also really more importantly, a place to discuss and gather and connect. This is open to everyone. No membership is required. So again, encourage somebody from your team or yourself, please hop in. It's just for 1 hour. And again, this is a global community of individuals in marketing, fundraising, philanthropy, development. Huge resource. January 3rd to February 14th here in Southern California, we are honored to be partnering with Core CDC for free entrepreneurial training program for women with a focus on Muslim women, free programming. January 15th, for our nominees and grantees of the AMCF Women's Giving Circle, we're having a winter meetup. Again, this is free and open for networking collaboration for our prior nominees and grantees. And then January 24th, here in Southern California in the Inland Empire, we're partnering with the Montessori Learning Center to host a Connect and Thrive lunch for Muslim leaders in the Inland Empire, which is the 12th largest metro area in the country. And we'd invite you to join the Women's Giving Circle. Join in today, donate today on Grapevine, join community on which we're really serving to amplify and uplift Muslim women in nonprofit leadership and in the work they're doing in the communities. And now, just a brief welcome. I'm the Giving Circle Manager. Just briefly, a little bit about me, and more importantly, about Muhi Khwaja, our AMCF co-founder and Chief Development Officer. So an honor to have him out of his busy schedule joining us today. He is a co-founder and Chief Development Officer of AMCF and a certified fundraising executive. He holds a master's in public administration with a focus on nonprofit management from University of Michigan, where he also completed the Development Summer Internship Program that launched his fundraising career. With more than 15 years of experience, he has served in development roles at organizations including University of Michigan, CARE Michigan, Islamic Relief USA, ISPU, Ta'alif Collective, and the American Red Cross. He also teaches with Indiana University's Lilly Family School of Philanthropy and hosts the hashtag Muslim Philanthropy podcast, which you are all welcome to attend and be a guest. And with no more talking, beyond the one-time gift, smart tools for strategic philanthropy in partnership with the National Muslim Plan Giving Council. So here's Muhi Khwaja, our ASL interpreter, and all our attendees today. Thank you so much. And I will stop sharing, stop talking, and let Muhi take the show. And of course, there's always those technical difficulties and little lag. Tech is such a blessing, but it's a curse when it doesn't all sync and connect correctly. So we'll give Muhi a moment to just reconnect, reconfigure. If anybody has a quick question you want to ask, or you have anything you want to put in the chat, please do so. Shazeen and I will be monitoring the chat now that I can see the chat again. So yeah, we are excited. We see we have Susan Labadie in the room. Hi, Susan. Homan Kabir from Helping Hand USA. We also have Dr. Fruki for International Law Center and Fig Tree Montessori. Oh, yay, another Montessori school. Ellen Pillington from Houston, volunteer. That's super important. We appreciate all the volunteers. Valerie Shirley. Oh, yay. Valerie's here. She is the ED of our grantee from the 2025 Women's Giving Circle. So a huge honor to have Valerie here today.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Had to reboot my laptop. It gave me an issue as soon as I started sharing the screen. So I apologize for the technical difficulty on my end. But we will get started momentarily. I will get my presentation going. But in the meantime, can share a little bit more about AMCF and the work that we do. So
hey, Muhi,
You're
can you just turn
sideways.
your... It's hard to like turn the head.
Oh, interesting. Even that wasn't working well for me. It's just a technically difficult day. Bismillah. So AMCF started back in 2017 as the first community foundation, still the only community foundation in the community. There are over 700 community foundations across the country. Many are regionally focused, some are religiously aligned, but there are dozens of providers for donor advised funds and endowments and places that you can partner with. But it's really grateful to see the amount of support that AMCF has because of our values, because of our identity. So many of the families who partner with AMCF do so because they know that our investment strategy will always be Sharia compliant. They know that we have a good pulse on Muslim-led nonprofits and have been able to distribute millions of dollars to these organizations. We have over 25 endowments that partner with AMCF to do their management of their investing. We have over 245 families that trust us with their donor advised funds. So a big part of what we do is connecting the dots between the families, the resources, the nonprofits, all of the back end systems that need to be in place. AMCF is providing that infrastructure. We're also focusing on professional development of the organizations beyond the one-time gift, right? So in addition to the grants they receive, we're also looking at how we can increase the level of professional services from a marketing standpoint, from a human resources perspective, from fundraising to finances. And we are doing this through monthly webinars like today, but also through opportunities in person, like our nonprofit summit or the Women's Wealth Summit or the annual symposium and Muslim Philanthropy Awards as well. So as we look into how we can help build relationships with nonprofit organizations, we want to also encourage them to think about creating donor advised funds if they haven't, or endowments if they haven't already, and encouraging their donors to be creating donor advised funds because it's a more strategic way for their donors to give. Your donors are still going to give to your organization. The method in which they give, maybe instead of a credit card donation online or a check being sent or something, they'll instead give through their donor advised fund. And there are a lot of reasons why that is beneficial for the donor. And it's also advantageous for the nonprofit because now a family may be able to give from their assets more easily. They have invested in the stock market and stock has grown, but maybe your charity doesn't have a brokerage account. But by giving through a donor advised fund, the family can transfer those assets to AMCF one time instead of having to give to the multiple charities that they typically would like to support. Now, as we look into reasons why donor advised funds are helpful, I'm going to pause and then bring up the switch from my phone to the computer so that you can more easily follow along the presentation with me. So give me just one moment to make that adjustment.
And while Muhi's setting up, if you have any questions or there's something you wanted to know, haven't been able to ask about DAFs, endowments, whether for yourself, your organization, your business, please pop them in the chat. We'll try to get to as many questions as we can towards the end of his presentation. But as you're thinking or you're reflecting now in a minute or two, jot those down. We'd like to make sure we gather those and answer your questions as much as we can. This is what this format, this place is for. So, and it's a safe space. So no question is too small or too big. And if you're thinking it, other people are probably thinking it as well. So yeah, please, anything, even how to do it, what is the process of opening one? Please jot that down.
All right. So thank you for bearing with us. Now, a donor advised fund, you can think of it simply as a charitable savings account. A family can put cash assets into the account and then from there more easily receive one tax receipt and understand that AMCF will be choosing ethical and socially responsible investments. And they can select any nonprofit that is IRS approved to fund from their DAF. And when AMCF donates on your behalf, the donor and the nonprofit will receive updates that that transaction has been completed and is in process. Now, there's several benefits of why donating appreciated assets makes more sense for a family. They can give 20% more than they would if they were to sell the stock and then make a cash donation. And that's because you will be avoiding a capital gains tax. And you will also be able to deduct the amount in the fair market value. So maybe somebody bought a stock, and for an example, we'll say they bought it at $100, but now that stock is worth $150. They will be getting the $150 value, and the charity will be getting that gift while they had only paid $100 for it. So for those families who have the blessing of investments, it makes more sense for them to contribute to charity from their assets rather than their cash. Now, in our website, and we're actually updating all of this right now, you will receive a dashboard similar to this that will show you your fund balance, your grant summary, where the distributions you have made are. And you can search for all the charities in our system and ask them to make a distribution, and then more easily see your distribution history as well year over year. So we're always improving our systems and processes, and a big part of 2025 for AMCF is updating these internal systems. When it comes to endowments, these are investment funds for your charity, and AMCF is managing them on behalf of the nonprofit. And AMCF provides these resources in support for setting up or hosting or administrating these endowments. So very similarly, AMCF is selecting the individualized portfolio of investments for your charity to work with AMCF, and a return on investment is then provided to the charity or put back into the principal of the investment to continue to grow. And we're familiar with the concept of awqaf, or endowments, in Islam, because this was an early practice in Islam where we have examples of the companions of the Prophet
providing their property to be used for the benefit of the community. And even the first university in Fez, Morocco, Al-Qarawin, was a property that was donated by Fatima Al-Fihri. So we have all of these rich examples in our history, and we're looking to revive that practice here at AMCF. So when you're able to invest, and this is using an example from over 25 years ago, but whether you're investing in an endowment or in a donor advised fund, let's say you have the capacity to put in $10,000 a year. From the year 2000 all the way to 2018, that would be a sum of $190,000, like 18, 19 years worth of putting in $10,000 a year. But some years, the market was tough. We had down years, recession, but our investment strategies have typically beaten the overall market. And the return in this example is going back into the principal of the account. So let's say you wanted in your lifetime, again, maybe your combined zakat and sadaqah is around $10,000. But if you think of the long term, over the course of the next 15, 20 years, you can turn that $150,000 into $300,000 or $500,000 based on this actual interpretation of investing in Sharia-compliant options as well. So it's more advantageous for you as a donor to think of the long term. Think of the organizations you want to support and give from the return on investment, give in addition to what you can through a donor advised fund as well. So in terms of changes that we'll be seeing this year with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, this is very specific to 2025 and what changes will happen going forward next year. So, of course, you want to always speak to your CPA or tax advisor, but there will be some changes that will be happening. And these will look into individuals who do not itemize and what will change on their federal tax return and how they will now be eligible for a fixed charitable deduction. This is typically going to be $1,000 for single filers or $2,000 for joint filers on cash donations made to public charities. Now, gifts to donor advised funds or private foundations are not eligible for this deduction. And this change is expected to generate significant giving by activating everyday donors. Number two, permanent 60% limit for individual cash contributions. There was a previous act called the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, and this increased deduction limits for cash contributions from 50% of adjusted gross income to 60% of adjusted gross income. And in 2017, when that law passed, it was set to expire in 2025. But now the One Big Beautiful Bill Act has made this 60% of AGI, adjusted gross income, more permanent going forward. So this permanent extension of the limit continues to incentivize individuals to make larger cash donations. Number three, new tax credit for contributions to scholarship granting organizations. from next year, a tax credit of up to $1,700 will be available to U.S. citizens and residents who make cash donations to any 501c3 that qualifies as a fund for scholarships to eligible students, and their qualified elementary or secondary education expenses. So this is only for scholarship granting organizations, but it can be a unique way for people to diversify the different ways that they give. Number 4, 0.5% of AGI, adjusted gross income, for itemizers. Taxpayers now face a new rule that only donations exceeding 0.5% of their adjusted gross income are deductible. And this floor applies alongside the existing 60% for cash contributions, and it's now again permanent. So additionally, itemizers who may be in the top bracket of 37% will receive a reduced benefit of 35 cents per dollar donated as well. And lastly, 1% floor for corporations. So businesses may now only deduct charitable contributions that exceed 1% of their taxable income, up to a long-standing ceiling of 10%. So now any amount below 1% are not deductible. So this actually incentivizes businesses to give more and can be carried up to 5 years as well. So all of this to say, talk to your CPAs before you make donations before the end of this year. They may recommend what's called bunching, where you give multiple years of donations in 1 year to give you a tax advantage. And what is it that we can do about the One Big Beautiful Bill Act? As donors, you want to consider front-loading your donations now so that in gifts made in 2025, you can use for years forward. And you want to look into a donor advised fund that would provide you with flexible grant making so that the gifts that you give in 2025 can be distributed to other charities in future. And you can involve your family and kids and others in the decision-making process. And that will help you be more strategic, and larger, more consolidated gifts this year may be more tax efficient than smaller gifts spread over multiple years. Now, for those of you who are representing nonprofits, you have 2.5 weeks left in the year to make a difference. Talk to your donors about what their plans are based on this information. Have a conversation with them. And for you as an individual, you should, again, talk to your tax advisor to see how these changes affect you and review what your own charitable goals and plans are for 2025, 2026, and beyond. So we hope that you would consider utilizing a donor advised fund, or an endowment to partner with your charitable giving needs. So in terms of what we can do for you, we want to look into how AMCF can be your trusted partner with either your endowment. It might be a good opportunity at the end of the year or with Ramadan coming right around the corner that you are asking more about your own organization's sustainability. And many people will like to give to an endowment because it has that sustainability long term. And if you don't know where to look for investment partner, AMCF is here to support you. So I'll look through the chat now, and I see that there were a few comments and questions. So we'll answer those as well.
If you do have a question, if you want to just raise your hand, that way for people who are speaking and not speaking, we can see everybody and reach out
Yeah.
to.
And the first question I see in the chat from Ellen is around creating new giving circles on Grapevine. And Grapevine is our giving circle partner. So AMCF is listed as an affiliate there. And if anybody's interested in starting a giving circle with their own group of friends, maybe you want to do something locally in your region, or you want to do something with a group of friends from college, or you want to do something with your siblings or extended cousins, you can start your own giving circle on Grapevine, and those funds will come to AMCF. Once they are collected on Grapevine, then AMCF holds the funds. We can invest it for long-term growth. We can distribute it to the charities. I believe this year, majority of the recipients from the Women's Giving Circle are electing to do endowments because they see the value of this long-term sustainability as well.
Well, yeah, I think she was also asking on Grapevine, those are the money is donated on Grapevine to Grapevine, but then distributed to whomever organization the circle chooses, right?
Well, the funds come to AMCF,
If
and then
they
AMCF
choose,
makes
yeah,
the
if they choose AMCF as a fund to support, AMCF wouldn't otherwise be touching the money, correct? That we wouldn't be investing the money unless there's some other arrangement made.
it's up to the giving circle of how they elect to distribute the funds. Yeah. So they should be able to also select different charities within Grapevine, but the way that we have it set up is that it comes to AMCF and then AMCF distributes to the charities as
And I
well.
see Ellen's raising her hand. Ellen, did you want to unmute?
Yes.
Better ask the question.
Yes, to clarify, inshallah. When you're first making it, it gives a drop down where there's only maybe 10 available. They seem to all be kind of community foundations where you can select network affiliation. And one that was listed is the American Community Foundation. Another one, as an example, is like all of the various 200 women who care around the United States. So I was wanting to make sure that if, we have the giving circle set up, people start donating to it, what the role that AMCF is playing. Are they holding the funds until we vote and choose our beneficiaries, for instance? Or is it going into a DAF? Like what is that role that AMCF is playing?
Exactly. So we would be the in-between for the giving circle to collect the funds, distribute it to AMCF, and then once you decide which charities to distribute it to, in that process, we can have it invested for future growth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Inshallah.
And then a question came in the chat about a donor advised fund being a one-time lump sum deposit, or can you deposit monthly into the donor advised funds? Yes, you can set up monthly contributions into your DAF and do monthly or annual distributions out of your DAF as well to charities. We have some families doing one lump sum towards the end of the year. But then other families are also contributing in throughout the rest of the year as well. Munim?
If you want to unmute, Munim, and ask your question.
Hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Sorry about that. Assalamu alaikum. Let's see if I open a DAF account between now and December 31st, what benefits I get for this year or next year?
Yes, great question, Brother Munim. So the benefit for giving before December 31st is any contributions into your donor advised fund will count towards your charitable giving for 2025. But the main benefit is that you get to use these funds going forward in the future, whether you decide to distribute it in 2026 or 2027 or beyond.
So if I deposit, for example, 10,000 in donor advised fund, Um, so I can write off all the 10,000 as a charity or the zakat or sadaqah with the whose EIN number is that? Is that AMCF EIN number or how do I?
Yes, exactly. Because AMCF is a nonprofit charity. So AMCF would be providing the tax receipt to you. And going forward, maybe this year you've already supported, 10 charities.
Mhm.
But next year in 2026, if you only put into your DAF, you will get one tax receipt. So making your filing for 2026 will be a lot smoother than it was for this year.
Is there a fee to open DAF or is there a fee to service the account?
Yes, so it's 0.75%, and it's the same fee whether you open a donor advised fund or an endowment annually. So it's either 0.75% or $175 to open your DAF, and that's on the first $500,000. I see some more questions, and I'm happy to take more questions from you, Brother Maneem, as well,
Yes.
but let's get to some other questions as well before we come back to you. One more question. Our family donates to a variety of charities. Would it make more sense financially to put that full amount into a DAF and then distribute the money to the different charities one time during the year? Yes, Valerie, Sister Valerie, that is one of the benefits of the donor advised fund as well. So instead of making monthly contributions to 5, 6, or 10 charities, you can put that amount into your donor advised fund, get the one receipt from AMCF for all of those distributions that you're making. Brother Abid?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Abid from Darul Faq Foundation. My question is that I'm really interested in opening an account with you on that. So is there a lot of paperwork to be filled in, or is there a portal that we can start something? And what is the minimum we can start, and how does it go?
Yeah, there are no minimums, but for donor advised funds, we have a suggested amount minimum of 2,500. And for endowments, a suggested an amount for $10,000.
Okay.
But there are no minimums. These are just suggested starting points.
Okay.
The paperwork for an endowment account, it's very simple. It's a MOU agreement,
Okay.
and then processing the donation. And similarly, for a donor advised fund, there's and for endowments, we have an inquiry form on our website. And then from there, we also will send you a list of the MOU, which is our contract that you will sign. And then from there, you will register in our portal. And like I said, we are changing portals next month in the new year. But if you're looking to open an account this year, you'll register in the portal. And then next year, there will be a new portal to register into, but it'll be a better user experience for those who have a donor advised fund. So I'll put in the chat the link where you can find the inquiry form, the MOU for both endowments and donor advised funds.
So just one more question on this one. This has to be done in 2025, or we can do it because as a nonprofit, I'm not going to get anything with the tax OBBA on this one, right? Because I'll be doing from the nonprofit organization. I want to register with you on that, not as an individual donor.
Right. For an endowment, as a nonprofit, there's not going to be any tax benefits.
Yeah.
So that's really just up to your preference as a charity of when you want to start investing.
Okay. And also, last question for me today is: you have any slide you just mentioned about zakat and the tax benefit we are talking about, so that to attract the donors to kind of look into this before the end of the year. to kind of send out a slide to them and saying that, okay, like this is a chance that you can get a more benefit from the OBBA?
The explanation that I provided, I can try to put into a paragraph to make
Yeah.
it more easy for you to share.
Yeah, if you can. Yeah.
Yeah, not a
That'll be
problem.
great. That'll be a good verbiage. I think it will be a generic thing and everybody can benefit out of that. So people really would like to know because not many people know. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
course.
Yes.
Muhi, can I also chime in on that?
Please.
Once we have the new our new system set up, which is next month, it will have a portal, and if you do have an endowment, you can actually direct people to that portal where they can give. And you can put your logo of your organization on that portal and also do a little brief description. So if you wanted to, direct people to that site, you can have verbiage there as well, and we can put up some information on that site too. So, that can from the, ideally maybe set up a link to your website. You can link directly to there, get more information, and then they can give directly to that to make that easier rather than having them give to you. Then you save it and then give to us. They can give directly into your endowment once you're set up and we're on our new portal.
Any additional questions about donor advised funds or endowments or AMCF in general?
Hey, Muhi, you mentioned that there's a few things people would need to set up a donor advised fund or endowment in addition to the MOU. Is there anything else people need to gather? As I think several people are interested, what would they need to have?
So even in the inquiry form, it's just asking very basic information about, your phone number, your email, your address. It's then asking about what your giving preferences are. So we get a better understanding of your philanthropic priorities. And then, so number one is the inquiry form. You can also have a one-on-one conversation with myself. And then you want to sign the MOU and then registering in the portal. So those are the main steps to open a donor advised fund.
And the MOU is like 1 page, 20 pages. What are we talking?
It's about 8 or 9 pages. So it's, a legal contract framework for you to understand the rights that you have as a donor and the rights that AMCF has as the institution accepting the funds. And you'll find these contracts whether you decide to go to Fidelity Charitable, Schwab Charitable, DAFI, any other donor advised fund on the market. But again, AMCF is the only one that is going to offer you Sharia-compliant investments and the ability to make sure they're building the Muslim nonprofit ecosystem as well.
And for that MOU, do they have to have a certain person on their organization or their family to sign? Does it need to be like chosen or designated ahead of time?
So you can list, so for the donor advised fund, you can list beneficiaries. And beneficiaries could be nonprofit organizations upon your passing that you distribute your assets to. You can say 10% to this organization, 50% to that organization, or you can have your children or spouse or family members as advisors to your DAF as well, so that they can log in and make distributions on your behalf as well. So there are, again, more strategic ways that a donor advised fund is more beneficial for you and your family.
And then Abba's also asking about paperwork. So is there any other, besides the inquiry, the MOU, the registration, is there paperwork needed on the side of either the individual or the nonprofit, any EIN number, anything else they would need to have?
Yeah, for the endowments and organizations, it's really just those steps. And that's why this is easier than having to open up your own brokerage account or work with another institution to do that. So if you have the approval from your board of directors to open a donor endowment for your nonprofit organization, again, partnering with AMCF is very easy to do.
I hope that answered your
Yes,
questions.
yes, it did. Thank you so much. Because like last time I was trying to do it, but there was so much paperwork that it just went into my pile of things and I could not do it. So I just want to make sure that if it is something simple, then we can try to start something. This is a great opportunity. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And then Muhi, maybe you want to throw your Calendly link in there, and in case, still there's a lot to digest for some people, and they can have a 30-minute chat with you just to or even you can go through the process with individuals. Thank you. And which you have a very mashallah
So
developed.
either pick 15 minutes or 30 minutes. And if you just select the one that says AMCF and then you say endowment or donor advised fund in the memo, then we can set up a conversation.
Can you put that there in the chat too? Muhi's got like an amazing AIA, I mean, mashallah, the most complex and built out Calendly system I think I've seen ever. So
And then Muhi, can you share the benefits of specifically for donor advised funds, not endowments, but for donor advised funds, the benefits of donating stock and the savings you get on all ends of the tax benefits you get from capital gains taxes to being, and how you can benefit from that.
Absolutely. I think you just said it all, Shazeen. Yeah. So again, if somebody has appreciated assets in personal investment account and they have owned that stock for more than 1 year, it's more advantageous for you and your family to donate these appreciated assets because you're going to avoid a capital gains tax and you want to transfer these to the charity instead of selling. That's the critical piece of information. So you will be transferring these shares of, it could be Amana mutual funds, it could be other halal investments that you have, or some company that's done really well in the tech industry. So you want to transfer those shares of ownership from you to AMCF. Then we will provide you with a tax receipt showcasing that you donated these shares on this day and it had a value of a high or low or average of that amount. And AMCF will liquidate those shares, and that's how you get your initial balance of funds to use. Then AMCF will invest it in Sharia compliant options going forward for you as well. Now, again, the benefit here is instead of selling and then donating, you're avoiding a capital gains tax, and you can take the charitable deduction of the full market value of today's value. So again, maybe you bought the stock when it was $100 8 years ago, and now it's worth $150. So this allows you to avoid that capital gains tax. And you get to reduce your future capital gains. If you want, you can purchase that same stock at today's value again and reduce your cost basis. So again, these are strategies that your CPA or tax advisor should be telling you. And if you have the ability to give appreciated assets, again, it's more advantageous.
And Mohit, do you want to just mention for some people that are new to this and they don't really necessarily understand the implications of donating and the benefits of not for taxes? If you can just explain that a little bit, like why would you not want to pay as much taxes as possible? What's the benefit of that?
I mean, firsthand, you've seen how this country uses tax dollars, right? Number one, I think that's a big thing. A lot of families are becoming more conscious and aware of trying to reduce their tax liability because of some of the reckless habits that our government has, and in particular, giving funds to Israel. So many families want to reduce their tax liability because of that. And a good way to reduce your tax liability is through charitable donations. So the more that we can give less to the government and also benefit the nonprofits that we care about, that's a win-win situation. For those families who maybe have excess wealth beyond $15 million or $30 million of assets to their family's name, you really want to look into what are called trusts and estate planning. When you put these funds into a trust, it will reduce your tax liability so that upon your passing, the government doesn't take a piece of your hard-earned wealth. So these are all things to protect future generations of funding and making sure that your family, in addition to their estate planning, has a charitable plan as well.
And is
But
that something that you or anybody else at AMCF could perhaps help with? You know, if it's a family or a nonprofit, some estate planning or strategic charitable giving, is that something?
yeah, definitely. And AMCF has our National Muslim Planned Giving Council, and these are CPAs, wealth managers, financial managers, estate planning lawyers, all for the benefit of our network. So if you need a CPA or if you need an estate plan, we can make introductions for you. And that's a service provided for, especially for the families who have donor advised funds and the nonprofits who have an endowment with AMCF. So I see a new question in here as well. And Ellen says, does AMCF have any requirements or encouragement to disperse the funds held to nonprofits on a regular scheduled basis? I've heard in the past a lot of criticism regarding DAFs being another place to move and hold funds without it circulating to where it is most needed. What is AMCF's approach? I love this question. AMCF is very grassroots. We were founded by nonprofit leaders ourselves, and we understand the philanthropic ecosystem. And I think the values of Islam, especially zakat, is that you distribute annually, right? So we're practicing what we preach, and that's why we've been able to give out $26 million while only having about $8 or $9 million of assets under management, because majority of these 240 families are giving annually together. They're putting in a balance. They're leaving some to be invested for the future, but a majority of it is also being distributed annually as well.
Any idea the percentage of that, Muhi, of how much is actually distributed out every year? I know it's not 100%, but 75%, 50% of the funds at
Yeah.
AMCF?
Each year it's varied, but in terms of simple math of 26 million divided by 35 million, we've been giving out 75% of our assets. So
we just have a few more minutes. If anybody else want to raise your hand, put a question in the chat. Lots of good information. You got Muhi in the room today. He's the expert. You got Shazeen also, mashallah. So great opportunity to ask questions. Anything you might want to have.
Yeah, I wanted to add that, just looking at our growth and assets, we went over to a new financial partner, Andalus Capital, about a year ago. And we've seen tremendous growth in our accounts. So we can't guarantee that for the future. There's a lot happening, but I would encourage you to join us about quarterly. We have a conversation with our asset manager, Andrew, who kind of goes over his philosophy in investing, and like we said, it's all Sharia compliant. Andalus is, a great partner in helping us do that. There are different portfolios you can have, which is, conservative, aggressive, medium. So it fits your profile of what you want to do, right? Some of the longer term, endowments and stuff like that, there may be more aggressive stuff because it's the longer horizon. Some people want to give out more regularly, right? And we encourage that, right? We kind of label ourselves DAFs done differently, right? There's ways that we can be more equitable in philanthropy, which traditionally hasn't been equitable, especially to communities of color. So we are really trying to set that standard, is not compiling the money, but utilizing that growth to really get more out into our nonprofit partners.
Yeah. And in January, probably middle of the month, we'll do a 2024 review of our financial portfolio performance. Dr. Faruqi?
I had a quick question regarding IRS. So when we have a DAF, you said we get a receipt directly from AMCF as one receipt that we give up for our donation, right? So IRS technically then does not have the itemized version of all the donation. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So especially for families that already have a family foundation and maybe are disclosing all of the charities that they're giving to, a DAF is a good way to anonymize your family's giving. And similar case, you would just be getting one tax receipt, even if you're just doing your itemization through AMCF.
I think that's very beneficial given the scrutiny that simple organizations like CARE are coming under, and what the Association for Individuals in the Community implicate. So I think that DAF is a good route to go then.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, we're doing our best to stay under the radar when it comes to that as well. But alhamdulillah, for 8 years, we haven't had any issues there.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for that answer.
Yeah.
We have our final minute, Muhi. Any wrap-up comments or takeaways that you would like our guests to walk away from Zoom today?
Yeah, I think zakat and sadaqah are probably one of the pillars of Islam that's done the most in private. But I would encourage you and your families to talk more about the charities you like to give, because doing good in congregation is always good for our spiritual aspect of why we do what we do as Muslims. So increasing our good, increasing the support to people and the charities that we care about, try to make donor advised funds a part of that practice. Talk to your friends and families about AMCF, share our work with others, and choose AMCF for your family philanthropy and for your charity's sustainability through endowments.
Well, thank you so much, Brother Muhi. It was truly a pleasure. Thank you, Sister Muna, for your hard work and interpreting this today. Thank you, Shazeen, for joining. And again, thank you to all of you present here today. And for those who will be watching this later on from the benefits of their Zoom living room, thank you so much. And
please share the recording on the group, please, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Once it downloads onto my Zoom, I will be sharing with our team, and we'll be putting it on our channel, and we'll be putting out an email and on our social media, inshallah. So yes.
So another
thank you
good
so much.
reason to follow us on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, wherever you are as well, so that you get these updates and you'll be on our email list. So inshallah, we'll get it out to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.